What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to Stocks by the Numbers, and today I wanted to do a quick how'd I do, let's review update video about a company that I know a lot of you are hyped about and probably are up on. Name of the company we're talking about, SoFi Technologies, ticker symbol SOFI, listed here on the NASDAQ. Stock right now, $8.90, down 11 cents, about 1.2% here on the day. This blue arrow right here back on March 10th was the last time that we looked at the stock, and we did our little yearly revenue to market cap comparison, and we did have a little bit of a higher multiple when compared to a lot of the other stocks that we looked at here on this channel. However, again, this is the type of company that falls into, I don't want to say the must-own, must-buy category, but this is the type of stock that you would want to wait for a pullback, you would want to wait for a good entry point, and you would want to own this stock, especially long-term, talking to all my long-term investors here. Because again, when I made this video here, to reiterate again, even though it may have been a little bit of a higher multiple, as we see here, stock was maybe about 5.5, 5 3/4 that day, and as you see now, the stock is up to, $8.89. So over those last 7 months or whatever it's been, you are up roughly 60+% stepping in here on this company, getting 3 points on your 5.5 points. So congratulations to all of you. If you happen to own the stock back in 2021 here when it was significantly higher, yes, I understand it's taken a while. Yes, I understand it's a pain in the ass. However, based on how we're looking here and the trajectory of the stock, in my opinion, I think it's only a matter of time before it climbs back up to these 2021 levels. But of course, it may just take a little bit longer than anticipated. But basically, what we were doing here was we were utilizing the Buffett method, right? And again, the Buffett method is basically buying, solid, stable companies that have a proven track record, especially on the earnings side, as we see here. Lots of greens across the board. And that's why when you have a company that is consistently beating earnings estimates, increasing its revenue, its profitability quarter over quarter, year over year, you now have confirmation that this company is on the right track and is going to more than likely continue to grow year over year. And now what you want to do is, once you find that company, you want to watch it and you want to wait for a sell-off and wait for a good entry point to step in and obviously have a lower cost basis and make even more money down the road over the years. In a situation like this, of course, we did not catch the bottom. However, we knew it was a buy. Because again, going back, even since I made the call here, the last time we looked at it on March 10th, you can see this company came out with earnings. They beat on the top and bottom line, coming in almost $20 million above analyst expectations. And again, beating on the top and bottom line, coming in almost $15 million above analyst expectations. And even going back before that, you're just seeing constant beats. But more importantly, look at the revenue, just chunking up. 350 million, north of 400 million, almost 450, over 450 million, now almost 500 million. So even though the annual revenue to market cap comparison may be a little bit higher multiple when compared to a lot of the other stocks that we were looking at, it is the stability and the consistency of the overall business of SoFi Technologies. That's what's helping it remain so stable and stay in this upward trend here for the last several months. Now, again, of course, it has been going up, so if markets do have a massive correction and everything starts to pull back, of course, something like a SoFi, which could afford to drop down and give back some of its gains, it most likely will. So if you're asking me, will it go lower than this, do I have to buy it now? Obviously, I have no idea. However, I will say the stock, looking at some of these candles, we look at the top of the screen, the O, the H, the L, the C. Again, that's the open, the high, the low, the close. And you can see, look at the low here, 771, right? Then we move here, 786. Then we move here, 789, right? Now we're up to 822. And of course, on the top side as well, you can see the high 1023, the high 1170. Obviously, that was the pop after earnings. But in my opinion, we're seeing higher lows here, basically confirming that we're still in an upward trend here. Now, again, this is just my opinion. The stock, of course, could correct and drop back down to this fib of 7, and obviously you're going to immediately take losses. But overall, in my opinion, in the long term, I still do like SoFi. Now, again, this company is tied to a lot of student loan repayment. However, more importantly, as we see here, they're asking, basically the overall question, will they pass their IPO underwriter test? Because if we come out here, no, baseball, where was it? SoFi is representing one of the 20 banks underwriting the IPO grocery delivery platform Instacart. SoFi has been involved with other public market debuts, but only SPACs is the first time SoFi will take a crack at the traditional IPO market. Now, obviously, it goes on. It talks about, as we see here, volume being more bullish than bearish. As you see here, put volume a little over 46K contracts, call volume over 83,000 contracts. But more importantly, if you recall, this is literally verbatim what I said was going to potentially happen to a company like SoFi. I literally said in my older videos talking about SoFi that it's only a matter of time before they just consistently keep increasing their business quarter over quarter, year over year, and then they're going to be viewed as more of a player. Now you have the company stepping into now its first IPO, and I'm sure only more are going to come. So that is just going to further cement and solidify their position as a growing financial institution. And I mentioned it's only going to be a matter of time before the revenue gets up into the high 100 millions and billions, and then all of a sudden they're a player and they're a brand name in the finance space. And I still do believe that because, again, even though they're starting out small and we're talking about 400 to 500 million in quarterly revenue, we see where we came from, going from those $200-300 million levels, and now we've essentially basically doubled the business that's coming in, and it's only been, like a year and a half, 2 years. So trust me when I tell you that is much harder to do than a lot of people give credit for. So, definitely nothing to sneeze at. But overall, I do still believe that SoFi is a buy, even up here at 888. And we'll switch over here to stock charts because I want to show you, just look at the tightening here that's taking place on the Bollinger Bands. Now, obviously, this could either break up or it could break down. However, in my opinion, it looks like it's really fighting to get back above this 50-day moving average here. And you can see yesterday it was above that and actually closed above it, and that's why we initially had a little pop, and now we bounced and we pulled back. We're down 1% right here. But 891, 50-day moving average 896, so we're looking today for close above that moving average, which in my opinion will remain it bullish. However, on the flip side, if it does potentially close below this 50-day moving average, I do feel that we could potentially pull back to this 8.5 level of this mid-Bollinger Band right here. However, looking at the daily, the MACD is still in an uptrend here, so that's why we could potentially pull back a little bit, but we will most likely remain to slowly trend upward, and I do feel that it could regain that double-digit mark of $10, of course, granted that markets remain stable and don't really have any big sell-off days or anything. But the RSI right here, a touch over 54, so kind of mid-range, not exactly the biggest benchmark for us to look at right now. Again, in my opinion, on that daily chart, I would definitely be much more concerned with the close today of the 50-day moving average. Now, as of right now, the stock right here almost looks like it's forming a bearish hammer. However, it bounced off of that low of 864 of the week. So I do feel still that SoFi is a buy. The big question is, will you be able to get it at 8.5 or sub 8 potentially? And right here, it looks like the MACD is relatively flat, potentially crossing to the downside. So this is why I'm saying, if the drop does happen as opposed to the pop, you may want to just remain patient for a little while and wait for confirmation if the stock is going to pop above $9 and remain in that uptrend, or if we could potentially get a pullback and try to get a better price. But, I do still like it at 888, but like I said, it has, of course, ran up. And we know what goes up could come down. So, of course, again, one bad day in the market and you can easily scoop this up for $8.25, $8.35, $8.40 a share, as opposed to paying $8.88 today. But I do still feel that it goes back to that daily 50-day moving average we were looking at. But even looking at the RSI, you can see it's basically in an uptrend, just following the stock here. RSI sitting at a little over 60. Now, last time, we can see here also, looking at again, we're on the weekly here on stock charts, and we can see that the RSI, if you look, is really holding to those benchmarks. We hit that 70, and then the stock begins to pull back. We get right near that 70, the stock begins to pull back. We get to that 30, the stock shows some life, again showing some life, and now you can see over the long run, over all these months, we've slowly been rising. But look what happened. We hit that 70 benchmark, and then we immediately start to pull back. So this company, interestingly enough, again, past performance does not dictate future results. That is a golden rule that we have in investing. But more importantly, the fact that we have an indicator like this that could potentially be showing us really when to buy and when to sell is much more valuable than we may think. So that's why right here in the short term, again, as I said, if we close above that 50-day moving average on the daily, I believe it was 896, if we close above that, we could have a little bit more of a rally going into potentially $9.50 to $10. And of course, that would probably lift the RSI to that 70 benchmark, which would then be our sell point, knowing that the stock is going to pull back. But again, to reiterate, past performance does not dictate future results. So we can't take it to the bank, but we could keep it in our back pocket as a potential concrete indicator of knowing when to get in and potentially when to get out. But right now, again, kind of a mixed bag. I like the story overall. I just don't want to, I just don't want to 100% say it is still a buy today and then have it pull back. As you see here, the pivot point on the weekly is 844, and it fought for many weeks to get above that pivot point and then immediately retested it, and it took a while to get back above it, but it is above it, which is why I will say, again, in the short term, it could, of course, drop 20, 30, 50 cents a share and give us a potentially better price. However, seeing these multiple bounces and regains above this pivot point of 844, in my opinion, is a very, very good sign. Switching over here to the daily, and we can see our next resistance is at 922. And again, we have our 50-day moving average at 896. So right here, these next couple of days, in my opinion, are really going to dictate whether this stock pulls back to low 8s and potentially high 7s, or if it breaks above here and goes to 9.25 and potentially 10 plus. But I will say, this Instacart IPO news is absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. And I'm not even happy that, I made the video here and the stock is worth more, so I got it right. That's not even what makes me excited right now. What makes me excited is the fact that I knew that this company was going to consistently keep growing, and these big financial announcements for the sector, for the business overall, were going to slowly start coming in. And again, the fact that now we have SoFi being involved in the underwriting of the Instacart IPO, I think that just solidifies the analysis of SoFi Technologies. So again, we can go over and break down the whole company, but we've done that before. We really don't need to. And again, this was when I last made a video, and I made one or two before that. This was the initial video that I made here, where we saw the stock in this descending wedge, and I made the video talking about the pop out, and then of course you see we had the pop out up to $8+. So there were a couple of videos before this one, but this was the last video back here on March 10th. And again, obviously, you made money if you stepped in, but more importantly, the earnings that have come out since then have just been getting better and better. And again, the Instacart IPO, that makes me happier about my analysis as opposed to the stock being up roughly, 60% over the last 6 months. Listen, that's nice too. But the fact that now we have a company that is slowly becoming a player in the financial institutional space, let me tell you something. It's a bigger deal than you might think. So, again, will it be the perfect price? Will it potentially drop before it goes higher? Yes, of course. But again, more importantly, it's the overall company that you're buying. And the overall business of SoFi Technologies, in plain English, has been kicking ass and taking names. And I'm going to end it there. So once again, this is Stocks by the Numbers. I want to thank you guys for stopping by. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, drop it down in the comments section. I'm usually very quick to reply. Thumbs up, like the video, helps out the algorithm, helps me get more eyes on the channel. Subscribe to the channel. That is our handshake agreement. I will do updates on stocks that we looked at. I will talk about any earnings reports. If you guys want to join the Discord, of course, Discord link in the description of every video. And you guys can come in. We can BS a little bit. We can talk about stocks. And, of course, if you guys want some quick day trades or some scalp trades, I'll try to call out anything I see in the Discord so you guys can make a couple of quick bucks. And I will do all of this for you. All I ask, push the subscribe button. That is our handshake agreement. That is how you help me help you. Shout out to the Discord gang also, because right when the market opened, I called out puts basically on all major indices. And just to quickly show you, as we see here, markets opened and jumped up. There's a long-term support trend line I have drawn out for the Dow. And as we see here, we opened up and started to climb when, in my opinion, I basically knew that markets would go red. Now, of course, we had oil inventories come out at 10:30, so markets began to rebound going into that news. And then, as you see, they popped up and all major indices have turned green. However, from the time I called out the puts, basically in about 45 minutes, you could have made yourself some really nice quick returns. So this is why I advise people, if you're a quick trader, you're looking for some scalp trades, again, if I have something like this that catches my eye, I will definitely call it out in the Discord and you can take advantage of it. So I called out puts on all three major indices, and you can see the Dow dropped after the open, which obviously made people a couple of bucks if they got involved. We have the big drop here with the NASDAQ as well. And of course, we had the big drop here with the S&P 500. So this is a trader's market. You have to be in and out. So when you see a situation, step in, it starts moving, take your profits and get out. Oil has apparently flattened back out. However, right here, when oil inventories came out, I saw the spike coming in oil, and I called out calls on USO, which is the oil ETF. But again, if I see something, I will say something. But SoFi Technologies, in my opinion, kicking ass and taking names just as we expected. And that's it. So moving forward, like I always say, I want to wish everyone success. I hope everyone makes a couple of dollars. I want to thank you guys for stopping by, and I'll catch you guys in the next vid.